So, 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 so saith the wise Alondo. Do, 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 do.
Welcome back to Mages and Murderdads. I am Cameron.
I'm Danny.
And we're going to be talking about Baldur's Gate, because this is the only podcast dedicated to playing the Baldur's Gate franchise. Probably. I still didn't check. Did you check?
Plausible deniability.
Okay, well, I didn't Google in between the last episode and this one. So, in the last episode, you can probably click somewhere here on the screen. To go back to that first episode, we started the game as two different characters. And I'm playing as a sorcerer, and
I'm playing as a barbarian.
Yeah, named Balthazar.
Balthazar, the half-orc barbarian.
I've forgotten my character's name already.
Oh, man.
Whatever. We'll figure it out.
None of the voice actors ever use it.
Exactly, so it doesn't even matter. And so we're playing through the rest of the game. So last episode we got all the way to Baragost, which meant going through the Friendly Armen. It meant getting some characters for the party. And at this point, or at the end of the last episode, I had 6 characters. Did you only had 5, I think?
I believe I only had 5.
But you're up to 6 now.
I am indeed up to 6 now.
Okay, so we'll figure out what that means in just a little bit. So what we want to do here at the top of the episode, we've kind of figured out a structure to these episodes that we didn't really have last time. First episode, we just kind of winged it, and it worked out great. Great response. Shout out to the fan community of Baldur's Gate. And so what we want to talk about here at the very top are just some of the interesting general topics about Baldur's Gate. What is Portal Binderwinden?
Okay, so, do you want me to talk about that now, or are we just going to get there?
Well, you know what? That'll be, let's do it at the very end.
Okay,
So if you want to know what Portal Binderwinden is,
you're going to have to you're going to have to either stay tuned, or you're going to have to move that slider all the way towards the end. Mm-hmm. Your choice.
Yeah, maybe. I might just put in 15 minutes of gray noise at the end. So you really got to find it. But okay, so the first thing I want to know, Danny, this is the thing I've been thinking about after playing this game for another, we'll say 2 hours. Mm-hmm. How do you explore? What's your exploration method?
Yeah, so I feel like I've played enough of this genre of game that I've kind of over the years developed a strategy of sorts. And I think it depends on whether I'm in an outdoor situation or an indoor situation, like kind of a subterranean situation, which you find yourself in oftentimes in these games.
No, do you mean the forest moon of indoor? Or do you mean...
So this is a good point. Most of the environments we've been going through up until this point in the game have been very large outdoor environments, like forests, hills, mountains, that kind of thing. And I think we might have a different strategy because I generally will just do the periphery of a map. So I will do the entire map and get the outline, and then I will kind of fill in as I go. Not too methodical in terms of how I fill in. I'll kind of maybe do like a zigzag or something like that, but I'll slowly fill in after I have the outline of the map.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that... So are you looking for story? Are you looking for are you trying to find NPCs and characters, or you're just kind of in it for the journey?
I am in it for the most part to try to find the content in this game, because it is, if you just kind of go through the game and stick to the roads, you're going to miss probably about 40% of the content. 60% of the content's going to be well within the road, right? And it is engineered that way on purpose. But oftentimes, if you do not cover, 95% of a map, you will just miss an NPC hanging out in the woods. Or sometimes even a character you could recruit just hanging out in the woods, as is the case with, I think, Kifan, right?
Yep. Who I have in my party now. I'll talk about that a little while
later.
But yeah, he's just chilling out there.
Yeah. So
Wanting to be your bro.
what about you? What's your kind of general strategy when you get into a new area?
So I do it in the most methodical possible way. So I do it like you would like vacuum a living room or how you might mow a lawn. So I go vertically up and down, and it's rows. Like occasionally, if it's a weird map, so there's some coastal maps that I went through during this play session where I'll go along the edge of the map because the interior is pretty small. But for the most part, yeah, I'm combing the whole thing, so I see everything on the map as I proceed from like left to right.
Now, I don't think you did this in the last play session with those first few forests before Friendly Arm-In. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That is correct. Part of that was just trying to like hurry through the stuff so we could record our episode because I was playing earlier that day, and part of it was like you can be killed so easily when you only have 2 party members or whatever in this game.
Correct.
So it was a little bit of both of that, but now that I got my full 6 party member, I'm feeling pretty strong, and sometimes that bites me right in the butt. So I think we'll talk about the actual quest later, but there's one map that's got a bunch of half ogres in it. And so as I was doing my sweep, I ran right into them and they just killed me. And so I decided I was going to start cheesing them. So do you know how to cheese enemies in this game?
So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that you probably barely, so I guess to use kind of an MMO term, you probably barely skirted their field of vision so that only a select few would aggro, and you just fought them 1 or 2 at a time. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so I think the way it works is that, like, if you are in the fog of war, like if they're inside the fog of war, right? So the map is black until you reveal it.
Yeah.
If they're inside of that, they can't see you, even if you were quote unquote within their field of view, or would normally be, right?
Yeah, I don't even think they don't exist as an intelligent being if they're in that fog of war.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. So what I was doing, I was literally moving like inch by inch with one character until I revealed one of them and I could bait it out and then fight them. So I've had to do that one time, or I thought I had to do it. It ultimately did not pan out for me. But I've done that one time so far. Have you done that at all?
Not really. I haven't really had to do it. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that my main character is... I spent so long rolling those dice at the beginning, so it's like 19 strength, 18 dexterity, 19 constitution. I'm just hitting berserk every fight and then resting afterwards. And he's hitting, I think he's critting for about 35.
Oh my god. my sorcerer, when he shoots his sphere chromatic orb or whatever, sometimes it does 1 damage. So yeah, I think our play experiences are radically different. So I thought that I needed to do that for that fight, and I did it, but I didn't feel very good about it. I don't like doing that. I like doing the fight the way you're supposed to do it, because I feel like all the fights that I've encountered so far are pretty balanced as far as like the number of enemies concerned and all kinds of stuff like that. I have a really funny one of those,
with the exception of the bandits that waylaid you in between maps.
Yeah, that was not. That was brutalizing, for sure. And I've had another moment like that I'll talk about when we talk about the actual quests we did.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about it? Have you hit a fight yet where you have not been strong enough to do the fight or the quest or the content?
The only... in the play that I did preparing for this podcast, so all the way from Baragost and these side quests, and I imagine next podcast we'll be looking at Nashkel, I have not died during this segment.
You have not died at all?
None of my characters have.
I've died 800 times. Like, I've died so much that, like, making a count in the video would be comical.
Yeah, and I was suggesting you do that, but it sounds like it'd almost be too much effort if you're dying that many times.
It would be so much work. I've cut a bunch of it out, like in the video that accompanies the first episode. And if you're not familiar with how this works so far, if you've made it this far into podcast 2 without understanding how it works, the video that's there is just kind of like to give some kind of visual thing if you don't just want to listen to this. It is not like I've edited it to kind of have some of the content appropriately done. But if you're a listener to this, you can ignore that altogether.
There is no one-to-one correspondence going on here.
No. Sometimes there is, but more often than not, there is not. So.
But no, I think it's just a function of the kinds of characters we have. It may be a function of the kind of parties we're going to roll with. I think that for now, I'm going to commit to no wizards allowed party.
It's a no wizard party.
It's a no wizard party. Right now I have, mind if I run down the party roster?
Absolutely. I think this is a great time to do the shout outs.
Yeah, so, shout out, like you're kind of like naming your team here.
Yeah. This is your Power Rangers.
Yeah, so I've got Balthazar, I've got Khalid, and Jaheira, which both of those are, in fact, fighters. Jaheira's just a fighter druid. I've got Kagan, which I know that you recruited earlier, the dwarf fighter.
He's apparently evil. Do you know that?
Yeah, he's lawful evil. I think that this might be some old school Forgotten Realms. Dwarves are just evil. Like, they're greedy. They abide by the rule of law, but, they're greedy. They're greedy little jerks.
There's evil.
I've got Imoen, who is a thief, and I have good old Kaven, which is a ranger. So it's a very, other than the incidental spellcasting from Jaheira, which I tolerate because it's not arcane spellcasting. It is a martial party, and we do not mess around.
They you can dual class Imoen.
You can dual class Imoen. Can you dual class? Is Kaven a human?
No. Kagan's a dwarf.
No. Kaven, the ranger.
I think he might be, or maybe he's a half elf. I don't know.
He's an elf. Did
you Google it?
I just tabbed to the game.
My God. Okay, yeah.
So you can in fact dual class Imoen, and I know that in Baldur's Gate 2, when you begin that game, she is a mage thief, I think.
Yep. She commits fully to it. So I'm gonna wait. I have a really great story to tell when we talk about quests. I'm gonna wait to tell you who my party is.
Okay.
We're gonna do that. But you've been traveling around in the show notes here. And you've seen some extra characters that I have not seen. Some extra NPCs, some non-player characters.
Yeah, and it's a little difficult to say where exactly I met these characters because most of the areas in this segment of the game do not have a name. They are just little blurbs on your map. You'll leave Baragos, for instance, and unlike, say, the Friendly Armin or Baragos, there's just this little patch of forest, and it doesn't have a name. So you only know it by, it's the thing directly south of Baragos, which can be a little bit annoying because sometimes quests give you, it's the thing southwest of Baragos, and you'll be looking at the place you are, and you're like, this kind of looks southwest. But in any case, yeah, I met a dark elf with a nigh unpronounceable name. Just way too many consonants in this name. I believe the name is Drizzt. Drizzt. And I was just kind of walking through the forest. I stumble upon probably 20 gnolls, and I'm a little worried because gnolls are, they're big bad guys. And the screen kind of pans down a little bit, and there's Drizzt, and he says, "Hey, you mind helping me out?" I say, "Sure." Well, that's fine. And they all aggro Drizzt, and they form like a 20 deep, circle around this dark elf, and he just wails on them and kills them all. And then we exchange a few words, and that's it. And then he walks away, and I try to attack him as he's walking away, but it did not work.
Oh, it just didn't, because he is non-interactable?
He's kind of like, he just went too fast. Like, I think he was just going to the edge of the map and then despawning.
So, I know in this game, if you cheat, and I know this from, like, back in the day, if you cheat and add his swords to your inventory, then the other people, so Drizzt Do'Urden is a famous character in the Forgotten Realms.
In the vein of the Elminster that we talked about last last episode.
And so, by the way, I put the cover for Elminster in Hell.
I saw that. That was beautiful. So maybe you can put like the Lone Drow.
Oh yeah,
here.
I'll put the.
Or no, the best cover, the Thousand Orcs.
Okay.
I think, because he's just fighting 1,000 orcs on the cover. It's very literal.
Okay. Yeah, it's not... here's the thing. If you haven't read these novels, not really subtle in any way. But anyway, so there's lots and lots of novels. He's probably maybe the most, like, beloved fan character from the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
But so if you add his swords to your inventory...
Twinkle and Icing Death, I think.
Oh,
something along those
Of
lines.
course. But his party members... from the books show up and they're like, where the hell did you get those? And then they try to kill you.
Holy shit, wow. And you cannot even get these items legitimately.
I think that if you like told him no and didn't hang out with him and then tried to kill him that way, I think that you can get them by killing him.
Oh, interesting.
I believe.
Well, it would totally be worth it because if I recall, the stats on those weapons are just obscene.
They're both like +2 swords, I think, in this game.
Yeah, they're both scimitars, and they've got like, some crazy enchantments on them.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so you met him, and then...
Yeah, and then kind of another map down there were a group of 3 mercenaries, and the way that I move around the map, doing the periphery, sometimes I feel like if you operate that way, you run into things not necessarily in the order the game would want you to catch them in. But, so I ran into a hobgoblin who was lost, and he was kind of a mercenary, and tried to rob me, and I said, this isn't a good idea. You shouldn't do this.
Really? You were able to tell him that?
Yeah, basically.
He initiated a dialogue, and he was like, could you give me your opinion on robbery?
Yeah, and no, I didn't say it for moral reasons. I said, we're 6 people, and we're all real strong, and you shouldn't do this.
Yeah,
and then,
I hit for like 8. I hit for my own hit points doubled over.
Yeah. So he said, oh, please don't hurt me. I'll tell you about this mercenary group called the Chill. And sure enough, kind of probably 500 meters north, there are these 3 mercenaries. They ask to rob me. They say, hey, just give us all your stuff. And I don't. And that's probably the most challenging fight I've had, just because there was a little spellcaster there. But otherwise, yeah, I think that's probably the most challenging fight I've had.
But you didn't die?
No.
You didn't even get hit one time, did you?
I think I get... Occasionally, Balthazar will get hit, and then Jaheira will roll over and cast some Cure Minor Wounds.
I think those are gone in 5th edition, by the way. I think it's just Cure Wounds now.
Interesting. So
no such thing as a minor wound.
It always scales to your healing surge value, or whatever the equivalent is. And
I guess so.
I think in 5th edition, they replaced healing surges with hit die.
Yes. They are complicated. Tune in our other podcast, D&D Comparison Hour.
Yeah.
Where we just talk about the different editions of Dungeons & Dragons and how they handle healing. The 3rd episode is called How Do You Heal? Healing and Dealing. Okay, so we did some quests. So the idea of when we talked about what we were going to do for this episode, we thought, we had this discussion, should we go to Nashkel? Should we do that? And I was like, no, let's try to do some side quests. And so, number 1, my side quest. I'm pounding my fist into my hand right in front of this microphone. Number 1, kill that guy in that inn who was killing me all the time.
And that's not even a side quest. This is just a personal quest for vengeance.
It's a vendetta.
Kunzelman is engaged in.
Yeah. This is OOC. Just something I needed to do. So his name was Karlat. Okay, so my solution that I found... Oh, actually, here's something at the very beginning. I accidentally deleted my save game.
Whoa.
In the most incompetent way. So I deleted all my quick saves. So I had an auto save before I went to Baragost. So I had to do all the Baragost content again. It was a real bummer. A real bad time. So, anyway. So I do that. I get near. I get my whole party back again. Same one I had. So what I decided to do is I go in with Kagan. I send him in, because he's got the most hit points of anyone in my party.
Sure.
I have him talk to Karlat and then run out the door where I have an ambush prepared.
Well, there's an ambush outside the inn, or is this inside the inn in that little... Oh,
outside the inn. So I have all my people outside the inn, because you can split your party if it's not a gather your party before venturing forth area.
Correct.
Okay. So I split my party. I have all 5 of them kind of like in a semicircle. With, what's his face? Khalid, whatever, right outside the door. So he comes out.
Whoa, he follows you outside?
Hell yeah, he does.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, enemies will follow you in and outside. And so I have him just start wailing on him. And I'm having Imowen use that, like, she's got a magic missile, like, wand, I think, that we got from the Friendly Armin.
That's right.
And she's just shooting him. And then so I'm doing pretty good, and I die a couple times doing it, but I can tell it's going to work. So I have Nira, and this is the time that it succeeds. I have Nira cast Wild Magic, whatever it is, for Magic Missile. It doesn't work out, like, at all.
What happens?
She turns into a squirrel. She polymorphs herself into a squirrel.
So like we talked about, the Wild Mage has a regular spell, but there's also a dedicated spell slot to this Wild Magic phenomena. And you click that, and then you say what you want to happen, which is Magic Missile. Mm-hmm. And Nira turns into a squirrel.
Yep, turns into a squirrel. Luckily, so I beat the fight this time. Mm-hmm. So I'm good. I'm gold. But she's a squirrel. Interesting enough, her strength stat goes so far down that I have to take all of her items away. Because she was encumbered. She was an encumbered squirrel. She couldn't go anywhere.
Did the character address her new squirreldom?
No, she was just talking away to the party, actually. And I actually had her go talk to someone because I had her selected, so she could still do conversations. And so, like, I had to get on the internet. I was like, how do I unsquirrel her? Yeah, because we, like, did some resting, and then I went to the inn and, like, tried to rest. I figured it was, like, a time-based thing, like a lot of effects are in this game, and it was not at all. So we go to the temple. There's a temple directly to the east of Baragost. Because on the internet, it says you can go and get remove magic or dispel magic or one of those. And it'll do it. And so I go, and I have the priest dispel magic on her, and she stays a squirrel. And then I do it again, and she stays a squirrel. And so then I spend all of my money casting this spell on her, and she stayed a squirrel.
Was there a percentage chance of success, or was this just the wrong kind of cure?
I think the game is just glitched. Like, I don't think it's not the wrong kind of cure. It's the appropriate one. But the game was just glitched. She wasn't flipping back like she was supposed to. So then I'm stuck with a squirrel as my 6th party member. And so I was like, and I reload the game. I didn't quick save for some reason. Oh no, I quick saved right after the fight, where I beat up Karlat.
Sure.
But she was a squirrel.
Yeah.
So I had to go to the quick save before that. And then I had to beat him again, which took like another 5 times.
Damn.
Yeah. And so as soon as possible, I dropped her. And so Kivin, as we were talking about before, is just this like dude. He's a ranger. He's hanging out in the forest. And he wants to kill a ogre named Tazok. That's like kind of his whole jam. And so as soon as he showed up, I just dropped Nira. Like, Nira is a super cool character, but I just don't think I have like enough room in my party right now for 2 different wizards.
And also one that could, at any time, turn herself into a rodent.
And just make the game unplayable.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, it could be cool to try to play the rest of the game with a squirrel. Like, I guess I'm into that, but not into that enough to actually try to do it.
Yeah, which means you're not into it.
Yep. And so, interesting enough, like a lot of other characters, when you drop them from the party, they're just like, fine, we'll hang out here forever. And you let us know when you want to hang out again. She, because she's, I guess, new for the Enhanced Edition, she goes to the Friendly Armin.
That's correct. Yeah, I think that for the Enhanced Edition, all the characters they added, they had them mimic the behavior of Baldur's Gate 2 characters, and in Baldur's Gate 2, characters tended to go to like a central place where you could easily re-recruit them, instead of having to remember where in the middle of the forest you drop Nira.
Yep. So that's what happened with my personal quest, not in a quest log. On what I was supposed to do to get Karlat, but you went to go get a short sword for a halfling.
I did, yeah. There's just a halfling in one of the many hospitality establishments in Baragast, and he said, "Hey, these gnolls stole my sword."
So our listener, just really quickly, I'm sorry, our listener Ben let me know on Twitter that when we were talking about how many hospitality establishments are in Baragast, that he was able to get like 4 or 5 of them by name off the top of his head.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So anyway.
That's impressive.
It's very impressive.
But yeah, so this halfling's just there. I talked to him. There's like every opportunity in this conversation to heap on short jokes. And I just resist that urge. But anyway, he says, could you do me a favor and kill these gnolls that got my sword? And there's actually even an opportunity for the player to say, hey, I can just go get you a new sword. It doesn't sound like there's anything special about this sword. But no, it's not so much the sword for him. He wants you to quote, I think he's like, stick it up the gnoll's butt or something like that. Like, I don't think that's the quote, but it's like, wipe their ass with it for me.
You said... And I quote, you said, quote.
Yeah, I think...
Before you said, stick it up the gnoll's butt.
It's one of those things. I couldn't remember it. But yeah, he wanted me to wipe the ass of the gnoll with his sword. Okay. Which meant murder.
Well,
that's how I interpreted it. So yeah, you just you trounce on over to the just east of Baragos. There's a little wizard's tower, which I'll talk about later, because I had another quest there. And there's just 3 gnolls, and I murdered them with a raging barbarian. And the thing is, my barbarian, when you choose that subclass, like I said, you give up a lot of things when you go barbarian, but you get a lot of cool stuff. And one of the cool things is you walk 50% faster than every other character. So oftentimes battles are finished by the time that any of my other characters get to the fight.
So he's just rolling around killing things.
Just rolling around, and like the other characters are picking up the stuff from the corpses he leaves behind.
That's great. That's a good time. I wonder how that's going to scale to like all the way to like throwing a ball. Right? It's
going to be interesting because we are in it to win it here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We are in this for the next based on our current schedule, the next year.
Probably until 2018. It's going to be. It'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's some cool stuff barbarians get in the very high levels in Baldur's Gate 2. You get some, damage resistance.
Cool.
But yeah.
Did you ever play, just a quick thing, did you ever play all the way through Throne of Ball?
No.
Because there's some times where you're, fighting, 9 fire giants at one time. I'm not even kidding. It gets ridiculous. I've only played all the way through it, I think, one time.
No, so. I do remember from my knowledge of higher level play in both Baldur's Gate 2 and in the Icewind Dale series, where you also get quite high level, a lot of these fights seem virtually impossible without a sorcerer or wizard with Disintegrate, right? With some of the save or die spells.
We're going to figure it out. We're going to learn. I guess we can do Icewind Dale as well.
We could tack that on. I know you're not as big of a fan because it's not as story heavy, but
we'd also, we could probably make through it pretty quickly too. So.
That's true.
Well, yeah, we need to figure out. I think you play it. It fits in the sequence of this game, actually, of importing your character. But we'll figure out where it goes. Anyway, so I also did the short sword quest, and I went and killed those gnolls in my kind of combing of the map. And either it never dropped, or I didn't see it when it dropped. And I wandered away, and I came back, and it is no longer on the map, so I cannot complete this quest.
You're really, you're really just.
This game's going easy for me.
Yeah. Batting zero here.
Yeah, it did not pan out. But I did encounter a paladin in one of the many establishments, and he told me about some half ogres. And some ogrillions that were kicking his butt, and he told me that I need to go kick their butt.
Interesting aside, there's a fellow in the floor above that paladin. Mm-hmm. And when you talk to this fellow, he says, this paladin's after me. And I think the paladin has, I don't know, like Baragol's name or something like that. Mm-hmm. He's like, he's after me. You got to watch out. And I say, oh, why do you think he's after you? And the fellow upstairs is just schizophrenic. He's just incredibly paranoid, and that's it.
Yeah, it does not go anywhere. I thought for sure that would go somewhere. I also talked to that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went and tried to kill those half-ogres. I did a lot of stuff in that map, in a different map, and I'll talk about those when we get to that, but could not kill those half-ogres. I tried for a good 10 minutes and then just gave up. So I was not strong enough.
I rolled over and just gibbed them, as they say in first-person shooters these days.
Really?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah.
God, it was so hard. It was literally impossible. I just could not do it.
I think this is the weirdest one because there were several times where Khalid kept getting hit, and I had to like just peel him back and try to get everybody aggroed on Balthazar. And Jaheira had to heal Khalid like all of her little cure minor wounds. But
oh my god. Yeah, no, none of this happened. I was pulling people apart and making one of the ogres aggro them and running in a big arc to try to get away. And then having the other character shoot with arrows and stuff.
Kind of like some advanced kiting techniques.
Yeah, this is basically Final Fantasy Tactics for me at this point. Mm-hmm. I'm having to do some very intensive work. But so you got the half ogres.
Yeah.
You went and turned that back in.
Turned it back in. He seemed thankful. A lot of these quests, depending on the difficulty of the battle and the party composition, are going to seem like very epic tasks. And when you get back to town, you'll just kind of get a thank you and a little bit of experience and some gold.
Yeah, how do they know you did it? You know?
That's the weird thing, right? Because I remember after I killed the half-ogres, I looked at their bodies and I tried to see if there was a distinguishing item, maybe one of their heads or a medallion, something to mark. Oh, I've accomplished this. No, this paladin is so in tune with half-ogres. He may worship a god that hates half-breeds or something. He might be a really racist paladin, and he knew in his bones that these half-ogres were dead.
Dang. Yeah, speaking of those kinds of items, I've killed a lot of skeletons so far. And they all drop a skull. And I got a party member whose inventory is full of skulls.
You will need one skull.
For what?
I can tell you.
Well, you tell me. What do I need a skull for?
So I was in one of these unmarked areas south of Baragos, maybe southwest, somewhere in there. And I meet a fellow, and this fellow's running away, and he says, you guys need to watch out. There is a demon-possessed chicken to the east. And I tell this guy, are you 100% sure you like this guy in the second floor of the inn? Or are you all right? Do you need help? And this guy says, look, you can check it out for yourself. I'm out of here. So, of course, I go over to this chicken, and it's actually interesting. I don't think the game intended me to interact with the chicken this way. I went up to the chicken, I talked to it, and the chicken was like, cluck, cluck, and it sounded like it was saying a distorted help. And I'm just around the chicken, and I keep trying to talk to it, and it just keeps kind of saying help. Mm-hmm. So eventually I decide, well, I must need to kill this chicken. So I quick save, just in case. Mm-hmm. And I smite the chicken, and nothing happens. Khalid is a little angry at me. That's ultimately all that happens. Okay. So I quick load, and I walk up half a step, and a wolf attacks the chicken. I say, oh, this is what's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to save the chicken. So I kill the wolf, and the chicken talks to me, and it is a mage's apprentice who has polymorphed himself into a chicken. And he tells me that he desperately needs my help, and he tells me to take him to this wizard's tower just east of Baragos so that he can be turned back into a mage's apprentice. Mm-hmm. He becomes an item in my inventory.
And so he wants you to take him to High Hedge.
Exactly, High Hedge.
Okay.
I go to High Hedge. On the way, I kill some skeletons. And it turns out this guy isn't really so much the mage's apprentice as this guy is the mage's biggest fan and desperately wants to be the mage's apprentice.
Aww.
The mage scolds him. Apparently he stole some stuff from the mage and that's how he ended up turning himself into a chicken. Mm-hmm. And when the mage hears the things that this fellow stole from him, the mage freaks out and he says, "Dude, I'm not going to be able to unpolymorph you with just remove magic. This is a bigger deal than that." And he tells me, "Go get a skull from a skeleton because he's going to need to cast reincarnate on this guy." So I had the skull directly in my inventory, so I immediately just talked to him again, and he says, "Okay, well, I'll begin the ritual." So the chicken's on the floor, kind of going around. He casts a spell. The chicken blows up. I talk to him, and he says, it didn't work. I killed him."
Oh my god. And that's it?
That's it. And then it ends with a cautionary tale of the mage saying, "Don't mess with shit you don't understand." And then that's it.
That mage is kind of a jerk. Because, like, I met the thief outside of his tower.
Yes.
It's like, there's a bunch of cool shit to steal in here, but I can't do it, so I'm going to go bother a halfling village. That's literally what he says. And then I went in to, like, look for stuff to steal, and there's nothing to steal. And so I, like, bought some stuff and had the wizard identify some things for me.
I mean, it may well be that the cool stuff is on the wizard's person.
And I have to murder him.
And you must murder the wizard. But the thief was especially worried about the flesh golem, and he says, there must be a way to trick the flesh golem, but you can't talk to the flesh golem.
I don't think you can trick it either, yeah. There's a lot of inconsistency there. But that's definitely the best quest that I have heard of so far.
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of these quests feel a little go kill X. Don't even collect anything. Just go kill this thing. And when they're all dead, I'll be triggered and I'll give you the reward. But yeah, this was a fun little story quest. Just required killing a wolf, really. And a skeleton, technically.
So I tried to do Kagan's quest. Kagan. Tried to do it. And we talked about this last episode, that he lost the son of a noble, basically. And so in your little thing, in your quest log, it doesn't really tell you where you're supposed to go. So I pulled up the internet and I was like, all right, generally what is the direction I'm supposed to go? Because I don't want to wander around the 15 areas around here until it randomly tells me, that I can do it. And apparently it's just straight up broken. Like, it was broken in the original game, and it remains broken today.
Well, that is really fidelity to the original game experience.
It is.
They do not want to adulterate the pure Baldur's Gate.
So apparently in the enhanced edition, when you go to a particular area, Kagan is just like, "Well, look, let's just go do whatever you want to do."
So they did fix that. You can't do the quest, but at least Kagan acknowledges, it seems like a hassle.
Yeah, it's not worth doing. But while I was just kind of wandering around, I found Shoal the Nereid. Nereid. They're like dryads, but for the ocean.
I have no idea about this thing.
You didn't meet Shoal?
No.
All right. So, hold on. I have the name Droth. Okay. So, Shoal is it's like a little blue dryad looking thing, and you walk up to her, and she's like, "Oh my god. I'm having a bad time. Will you protect me?" And you have two dialogue options. One's like yes, and one's no, basically. And she says, "Well, let me give you a kiss." Even if you say yes or no. She says, "Let me give you a kiss." And you can be like, "Heck yeah, give me a kiss." Or you can be like, "No, don't give me a kiss." And no matter what you do, she kisses you. And you die immediately. Like, you just straight up die.
Whoa.
And luckily, my interacting character, so the character that is first in my party order, is not my main character. Because if that were so, I don't know what actually would happen there. So it's Kagan, and so Kagan just dies, and so I reload 3 times. I was like, ugh, maybe it was the dialogue option I chose. So I reload and I go back, and I reload and I go back, and it's clear to me that she's gonna kill me no matter what. So I let it progress. I just start my dude dies, and I just start attacking her. Right, I just start wailing on her, and
Does she go hostile after that point?
I don't know, because I immediately, as soon as he died, I just clicked on the little sword thing and started going. So she might go hostile, but I went hostile. And so I started attacking her, boop, 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 and I hit her a couple times, and she's like, "Wait, stop." I've got like a cape of control or something, and there's an ogre named Droth who's making me do stuff, and I don't want to do it. And so, and I'm like, okay, that's whatever. I guess I believe you. You have some options to believe her or not believe her or whatever. So I say, all right, that's fine. Droth shows up. He's an ogre mage.
Whoa.
Yeah, and she's like, here he is. Here's this asshole who's controlling me. And Droth is like, I don't know what she's told you, but she's my partner. We, like, do this together.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I was like, I don't give a shit about any of this. And so I just started killing the ogre mage.
Mm-hmm.
So I killed him, and I didn't die. This is, like, one of the few times I did not die. In between him showing up and her revealing the whole thing, she brings your quest member or your party member back to life.
Whoa.
Yeah, so she's like the most powerful magic user I've encountered so far in the game.
Probably.
And then as soon as I killed that guy, she was like, peace out, I'm gone. And then disappeared.
Whoa.
So it's like a really weird little quest of like interesting things happening, but nothing really occurring at the end of it.
It's kind of like the ultimate side quest, right? Like, it's a quest cul-de-sac.
Yep.
You just end up right where you started.
So I got, like, a magic item.
Killed an ogre mage. Those things are powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we, like, focus fired it down.
Mm-hmm.
On the same map, there's a crashed pirate ship, and I got a ring called Domination.
Whoa.
And it reduces your wisdom and your intelligence to 3. It's like a ring to give to magic users. So they can't get you, basically.
So I imagine this is a cursed ring. You can't remove it if you equip
Yeah,
it.
I've encountered like 1,000,000 cursed items so far. At least 3. Like, this game is full of cursed items.
And I think this kind of feeds back into a point we were making earlier about not being strong enough as a feature. This game is very much a Gygaxian representation of Dungeons and Dragons, i.e., this is a simulation. This is not a game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a simulation of a fantasy world, and you can go places, and you will just be eaten alive. You shouldn't have gone there. Like, it's, whereas in a game, maybe you wouldn't allow the player to go to a place where they're just immediately destroyed. And another feature of that Gygaxian world is that there are all these cursed items, and they serve no purpose other than the story purpose they have in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they give depth to the world.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this one is like for, I think it was court wizards or something. I really love the lore descriptions on items in this game.
Oh, yeah. Every unique item has its own little story behind it. It's pretty cool.
And they're all good, yeah. But what about boots? Do you think that boots have their own story?
They do. This is, so I did 2 more quests. I also did the Half-Ogre's quest, like I said. I did Zerlog's Missing Boots, and I did a book for Firebead, I think, actually. And yeah, I went and I killed some hobgoblins, and I got this dwarf's boots back, and I got a book for an old man, and it's really... it's not as if every side quest is as deep as Shoal. It's not as if every side quest is as deep as that chicken quest. Some of them are just go-get-its. Like, they're very, like, wowie, kind of underwhelming type quests. And that kind of, like, I was a little disappointed because you don't know what you're getting yourself into when you take a quest, right? Like, you don't know if it's going to be a go-get-it type quest. Although I will say, it seems like the common denominator with a lot of these quests is if you get it in the town and you have to, like, go outside the town to complete it, I feel like the chances of it being a simple collect or kill quests are increased. Whereas if you encounter the quests in the wild, like you encountered Shoal in the wild, or I encountered this chicken in the wild, then it feels like a little bit more effort goes into those quests. But I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate.
Well, it's 100% accurate so far.
Yeah.
I found a guy named the Surgeon who did surgery on me in the wild. Did you see him?
No.
He's right below the half-ogres.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think he just heals you.
I just saw a guy who was fishing. He's next to the lake, right?
No. Different guy.
Oh, weird. Yeah,
Anyway.
I need to be a little bit more thorough to collect all of this stuff.
Gotta catch them all.
Mm-hmm.
So you got anything particularly interesting about the boots or the book, though?
No, goblins just kind of... It's really funny when you get critical hits in this game. They turn into little chunks of meat. Mm-hmm. So it's like they're stripped of all armor and a little piece of dynamite goes in them, and they explode. And if that happens to one of your characters, you can't resurrect them because they're gone.
It's a simulation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well then, I guess I did one more quest for Basilisk. Have you heard anything about Basilisk yet?
No.
So I talked to a commoner. It was really an interesting thing. So I talked to this commoner.
Whoa, you talk to commoners?
Yeah, because they give you quests. You didn't know that?
I just
like
figured
people.
I figured if you talk to one commoner in a village, you've talked to all the commoners.
No, as I walk by, I'll generally click on them because it's always one little thing, and I would say a quarter of the time they'll give you a quest of some sort, or they'll tell you about something. It's actually kind of interesting. So I already know that the spoilers, I guess, for next episode, but I learned in this episode that soldiers have from which is the state to the south of the current country we're in or whatever, that they have fortified Nashkel. And so an invading army is already in that city.
That's interesting. The furthest south I've been, I met a traveler who all he told me was, "Hey, I'm just a merchant from and his name was something the Foreshadower."
Oh, I wonder if he is foreshadowing the next game.
It may very well be. Yeah,
I wonder.
This game, and at the very end of the episode, I'll get into how meta this game can get. But yeah, the game's got... Sometimes it feels like you're playing Fallout with the weird optional thing on, because the game does not take itself seriously all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Strange Traveler or whatever that's called.
Mm-hmm.
Weird World. But anyway, so I learned about this dude named Basilisk from someone, and literally I heard about him from two different people, and they were both just like, he's a murderer, he's bad. I'm mad about Basilisk. So I don't know what he was up to. And I had a quest that was literally called Basilisk the Murderer, and it just said, as a little description, he's a bad dude. There was no thing. So I was out in nature, wandering around, kind of combing a map. And I think for this map, I was actually going around the outside instead of going up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And I found, it's basically like Stonehenge, right? Some rune circles, that kind of thing. And there was, I would say, 20 skeletons.
Damn.
A whole bunch. Some skeletons and zombies.
Which, if you aren't familiar with Dungeons & Dragons, skeletons are they're the bane of the early level adventurers. They generally have bow and arrows. They're incredibly accurate with them. For some reason, you would think that something with no muscle would not be strong.
Or eyeballs.
Or eyeballs. But yeah, they're rough.
Mm-hmm. And they have damage resistance, too.
Except with blunt weapons. Yeah. I think blunt weapons are okay, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And zombies are the opposite, right? Slashing weapons do work, and then blunt weapons don't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they're all around, and there's this dude in the middle who's talking to a family member. It's having a conversation with his brother, maybe. And then, but the brother in the conversation is a zombie. So this dude's saying full sentences, and then it cuts to the zombie, and the zombie's like, "Ugh." And it goes back to the guy, and he responds to it, right? So I roll up on this dude, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? and this is Basilisk, all right?
Okay.
So it says that he thinks you're his mom, or at least in my case, he was like, "Mom, what up?" And then you can take on the role of his mother and talk to him, or you can say you're crazy, or you can just be I'm going to attack you, or whatever, right?
Sure.
And so he talks about being from Zintal Keep, and about how basically you kind of get this information that he was in Zintal Keep, which is an important location for evildoers everywhere in the Forgotten Realms.
Mm-hmm.
And then his family died there somehow, and he's using his necromancy to not bring them back, but really what he's doing is he is going around Baragost and killing people or stealing their bodies, or doing both of those things, and then making his own family in this like creepy woodland zone.
So he's really kind of like a necromantic Norman Bates type situation.
Yes, yeah. I think that's kind of the reference that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like roll up to him and I try to kill him. And the first time I talk to him, or the conversation finishes, the skeletons are still there, but they don't aggro, and I died. So the second time I went for it, I attacked him, and then the skeletons were there, and then they aggroed me. And it's the most comical thing in the world, because all of their turns trigger at the same time, and they all have crossbows. And so it's just like, huh, 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 like this, like really long echo noise where it's just triggering over and over again. And that's really funny because my whole party liquefies immediately. And so then I go, I do different dialogue options, and they all collapse and die at the end of that conversation. And so then I was able to focus fire him. And interesting enough, so he starts out the fight that I eventually win. He starts casting at Jaheira. And so I just take the rest of my party members and attack him and leave Jaheira back. And he casts like the big gripping roots thing, where you can make a save. It grabs your party members and like holds them down. And you can make a save to keep it from happening. And so the rest of my party just beat him up while he was focus firing her with spells that didn't do anything. So he drops a holy symbol for Cyric. So he's a priest of Cyric. And then a magic warhammer that is +2.
Whoa, that seems a little odd.
It's like profoundly good. It's super good. If he'd hit my party members with that instead of casting spells, he would have destroyed them.
Wow.
So that's what my ranger is holding right now, even though it is not optimal. I'm basically going to hold on to it until I have Viconia, until Viconia shows up.
That's really interesting. I think that something about the AI in this game is so unsophisticated in a way that sometimes it seems very sophisticated. In the same way that the only way you can beat Deep Blue at chess is to do something that makes no sense. So, like, again, I feel like, against you this time, casting these spells at Jaheira just seemed totally wrong. But there's going to be that, 5% of the time where the game just feels like it's reading your mind.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So I get that, and then I had to, go on the internet to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do with it, because the quest was not filling in. And so I took it to the temple that I talked about earlier.
Sure.
Right beside Baragost, and they gave me 5,000 gold.
Holy shit, that is... I think the amount I have in the game right now is 1,200.
Yeah, I had 1,000 gold beforehand, and then I had 5,000. So I bought some +1 weapons.
Damn.
Why the hell not? But yeah, it seems profoundly broken. I think maybe the fight was just supposed to be much harder than it was. I think I lucked out winning it that time.
So it was the combination of choosing the dialogue tree that caused the skeletons to self-destruct, and the AI deciding that it was going to go ham on Jaheira.
Yeah, who basically was not even in the fight. So it all worked out.
Fun times.
Yeah. So I think that's all the quests that I did before Nashkel. I think we're going to go to the Nashkel for the next episode. Yeah,
I think it's Nashkel for the next episode, but I wanted to tell you about one fellow that I met in the wilderness, an ascetic.
So is this is the bonus for people who stuck around? Yeah,
this fellow's name is Portal Bindarwinden.
Okay.
And Portal Bindarwinden is just a kind of a naked fellow in a loincloth standing in a field. And if you approach him, you get into this conversation where he's really upset at people seeking him out, looking for wisdom, because they assume that he has wisdom because he's an ascetic. And I chose this dialogue option, and I'll send you a screenshot of this.
Okay.
Where I say, "No, please, I was hoping to speak with you. Has your isolation given you any insights? And he says, insights. And then he says, never take raisins from rabbits. Never spit in a man's face unless his mustache is on fire. And don't take any wooden knickers unless you've got a good supply of salve.
Okay.
To which my character has 3 responses. And 2 are kind of, okay, back away slowly, right? Mm-hmm. The third response is, quote, okay, I've just about had my fill of riddle-asking, quest-assigning, insult-throwing, pun-hurling, hostage-taking, iron-mongering, smart-arsed fools, freaks, and felons that continually test my will, mettle, strength, intelligence, and most of all, patience. If you've got a straight answer anywhere in that little bent head of yours, I want to hear it pretty damn quick, or I'm going to take a large blunt object roughly the size of Elminster and his hat and stuff it lengthwise into a crevice of your being so seldom seen that even the denizens of the 9 hells themselves wouldn't touch it with a 20-foot rusty halberd. Have I made myself perfectly clear?
How does that even fit in the window? And why does this exist?
Yeah.
So you chose that, right?
So I chose that, and he gave me a kind of a dire portent. He said that I was unlike anyone that he had ever met, that my very soul was in conflict with itself, and that I would meet a terrible end.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's some good... Because we still haven't, in the interest of spoilers, right, for the story of this, we haven't talked about the plot of this game at all, really.
Well, we have...
And that's a good portent, I think.
We have, in that we have talked about the plot the game has given us, and we've been very honest about what is going on in the game that the game is giving us. We just we haven't gotten too deep in it into the game yet. So
yeah. So I guess in closing, I'll say what we do know. Right, we know that Gorion was killed. You know, that happened in the first one. We know that he was trying to get us away from Candlekeep. We know that Khaled and Jaheira are like our only connection to whatever he wanted to do. And that they really want to get to Nashkel. And they want to get to Nashkel so bad that they keep reminding me that we need to go.
Yeah. And we also know that the people that killed Gorion are also interested in killing us. We keep finding these people with basically contracts out on our life.
And I guess the last thing is that the iron coming from Nashkel, which is it's kind of a mining town, is bad. We know that. And
there's a desperate iron shortage.
And that even when it comes out, it's tainted. Because I talked to a commoner. This is why I got to talk to the commoners. I talked to a commoner who was like, my scythe, my hoe, and my shovel all broke.
Whoa.
And I thought I was going to get a quest to go get all those things. But that didn't work out.
Thank God.
Yeah, all right. So I think this is a really great episode. Tune in for the next one. It'll be in 2 weeks from this one. This one will go up on June 23rd. Yeah, that's going to be great. And so after that, we're going to be going to Nashkel, and we're going to be continuing Baldur's Gate 1. All right, so thanks so much. So I was Cameron. You can find me on Twitter at @CKunzelman. You can go look at that in the description for this video. Danny, where can people find you?
They can find me in these little videos.
That's it. That's the only place.
That's the only place.
If you have a question for Danny, you should just put it in the comments, because he is literally uncommunicable on purpose on the internet. But you can put them in the comments, and if there are any questions or interesting stuff that you care about, we'll answer them in the next episode.
There you go.
Yeah, it's been really great. Okay, so thanks for listening.
Thanks so much.
Who knows?